Here's a bit of a downer for you. I got them all. It happens at the start of the year, thinking about filling my wardrobe and parting with gear. I got them all.
Hey you, welcome back. Or if you're new here, welcome in. This is season 2 of DearPsychopomp, Let's Talk About Death. And I'm your host, Anne-Marie, former cemetery director, peace officer, and 911 dispatcher, currently a death doula in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Here to explore the big scary topic of death with a wink, a laugh, and maybe, probably, a little weirdness. Because death isn't a secret. Let's talk about it.
Words. Here's a bit of a downer for you. I got them all. It happens at the start of the year, thinking about filling my wardrobe and parting with gear. I got them all. It may be alarming to hear that this charming dude here is panicking as they died. It is entirely clear. I got them all. Until spring at least, but it won't bring a feast. It's just the way it is now since the pandemic. So peace to every independent artist who in February drinks as the value of art sinks. In the eyes of those who know not the damage of Mr. Egg making money out of musical robots. I'm using this flow not for profit. I'm fetching my Homburg so I can doff it in the general direction of the Corinthians who know that music makes a profit first of all from within the soul. Kick out the mall and support the people who are making your life a little bit better on their own. This is my open letter, posted into the general void of indifference. I don't particularly expect a deliverance. Kick out the malls. Kick out the malls.
Hey, curious souls. A huge, huge thank you for helping the podcast reach over 500 downloads. I don't know exactly what downloads means in podcaster land, but achievement unlocked, and I got a fancy little ribbon for it. I also wanted to give a shout out to the Dubby app. Do you know those two lovely human beings from the ADHD_love account? Rich and Rocks. If you haven't stumbled upon this yet, I highly recommend checking it out. If you're like me, and I know I am, then your ADHD self will be forever changed. There's videos that go through the steps of different chores and activities. You can create your own notifications, and you can body double live every day. If you don't know what body doubling is, welcome to the Hawthorne effect, where people tend to modify their behavior in response to knowing that others can see them. So when I body double, my productivity freaking skyrockets. It's amazing. If you missed the last episode, we went over how death doulas hold space and witness and companion those who are dying, as well as their loved ones. We touched on volunteering to fill your cup and gently test the waters to see if this is a profession you can take on. And don't feel bad if it turns out to not be for you. There are so many other ways to help. For those of you listening who are considering the profession, I have some extras for you at the end of this episode. For those of you listening who are considering hiring a death doula, it's sort of like dating or finding a therapist. You need to find someone that you click with. Don't be afraid to ask them the big questions around what matters most to you. And remember that it is great to have someone who has the same beliefs as you. Don't let that stop you from choosing a doula. Many of us aren't religious, but that doesn't mean we're not going to honor your beliefs. you want to pick someone that you would want advocating for you or your loved one. All right, so what do death doulas actually do? The hands-on, the paperwork, what's a day gonna look like? So we ask really hard questions. We hold hands and wipe tears. We are the calm in the chaos that is end of life. It's emotionally exhausting and draining when you're doing something so raw and vulnerable. You are taking on extra grief on purpose. And to do work like this, you need a strong foundation within yourself, because you are human and you will have a lot of big feelings throughout the process. Side note, I was actually thinking of doing up a course for mental and emotional resilience for end-of-life professionals. Let me know what you think. If there's any interest, I'll make it so. So death doulas can have any number of modalities or services that they offer. Some have a medical background, some don't. There's not really a prerequisite to becoming a doula, at least not with education, but more on that in a bit. Some doulas will lean heavily on the spiritual, metaphysical, naturalistic side of things, while others focus on the practical side of things, the science, wills, advanced care plans, paperwork needed, and resources to be able to pre-plan everything from end-of-life care to cremation. And this can happen at any time. Clients don't have to be diagnosed or imminent to come and pre-plan. I actually desperately wish everyone would do their pre-planning so that people left behind don't have to experience doubt, intense stress, and financial burdens on top of grieving. It's expensive to live, yeah, but it's also expensive to die. Most funeral homes can offer payment plans that lock in the price when you purchase, because, fun fact, in Canada, a traditional burial with all the bells and whistles can land starting around $6,000, depending which province you're in. And for my fellow British Columbians, it's more like $9,000. For cremation with no service, it's still around $2,000. I digress. I got a little passionate there. Stay tuned for an upcoming interview with Amy Shea, who wrote the brilliant book that highlights funeral poverty, and it actually just hit the shelves. It's called Too Poor to Die: The Hidden Realities of Dying in the Margins. Definitely check it out. Okay, so our other modalities can include legacy work, playing music, sitting vigil with or on behalf of someone, after-death support, advocacy, and the one that has forevermore changed me, emotional and spiritual support aimed at acceptance and inner peace. And one of the beautiful things about that is that you can come to that even if you're not imminent or terminal. If you're perfectly healthy and terrified of dying, let's talk. Let's change that. Anyways, legacy work is such a wonderful experience. Speaking with clients and loved ones and hearing life stories and seeing old photos, seeing their face just light up when they tell the story for, how many times they've told it, and they're just that happy to be telling it again. It's really neat to watch. And I'm fairly crafty, so I'd like to help clients make scrapbooks, letters, collages, jewelry, voice notes. Go with your strengths on this one. For example, if you're kick-ass at sewing, maybe a memory quilt or huggable pillows, or you can help them paint. There's so many things you can do. Sitting vigil is when you are physically at the dying person's bedside. Typically at this point, which we'll also go over later, They will not be awake, nor will they. But it's true that hearing is the last sense to go. So I like to speak as if they are an active participant in the room. Things like saying their names and saying who I am and why I'm there and that everything is going to be okay. And this can be with or without loved ones present. So I have a book of poems that I bring so I can read to them. After death support can include things like being the one to call other loved ones and tell them the news, helping with writing the eulogy or obituary, doing grief work, guidance and resources for the executor. And the one that I personally felt most called to is the emotional and spiritual support. I've taken many, many extra courses to add to my toolbox with this type of talk therapy. And if you didn't hear the air quotes around therapy, I'll toss it in there with another, I am not a licensed anything, and all of this is advice only. Being able to help someone accept their story and not be scared to meet death is powerful. It ripples out towards everyone around them, and it's a really, really beautiful thing to experience and witness. And then, of course, there is pre-planning. Be sure to check with your town, province, state, country laws and legislations. They are often different from each other. Be sure to check out what constitutes a legal will in your specific area, as well as advanced care plans, how power of attorney works, what paperwork is needed for alternate decision makers, DNRs, do not resuscitate, which recently was for some reason changed to no CPR. But best thing to do in this case is networking and research. Google is your friend. So check out things like estate law for your area and death doulas nearby who may be able to answer some questions. Last but not least is all the admin paperwork needed if you're going to be an independent contractor or solo entrepreneur. Things like contracts, insurance, business licenses, ledgers, and remembering it takes 5 to 7 years for a new business to really be established. So patience is key. And at the very least, I recommend a part-time job until your business is beyond self-sustaining. And I also recommend that your part-time job be something that is not life or death. Life is all about balance, and working around death, you need to find the balance where you're not just constantly talking about death with people. And don't be afraid to use your strengths. Can you play an instrument? Can you sing? Can you tell bad jokes? Sharing your passions is a beautiful way to connect with clients. It humanizes you as well. And it's just a beautiful moment to share. I'm an avid writer and reader. Like I said, I read to clients and I'll write down notes and quotes from my visits and then give that to the family afterwards as a sort of keepsake. I think that's about all I can brain for today. Thank you for your patience. I'm still grieving a loss and working on self-compassion in the middle of a heat wave with no central air. Anyone else get the summer sads instead of the winter blues? I find it extra difficult being inside in the dark while everyone is outside and having fun and not getting heat stroke because they're not immunosuppressed and have medications that make them susceptible. Plus, I'm basically see-through. I get a sunburn if I think about leaving the house. Anyways, if you've got the summer sads, it's almost done. You've got this. I believe in you. It's almost hoodie season. We're so close. And it's time to get ready for September. And before we get into the practical... Oh, I'm sorry. Losing my voice here. Before we get into the practical tools and resources to actually become a death doula, I first invite you into some scenarios to see how you would react or respond. See if you can remain as an emotional anchor for clients in these very real situations. So, scenario 1. Mary's adult children reached out to you saying they want to make amends and see dear old mom before she goes. Mary is in hospice, dying from Alzheimer's and sleeping for about 20 hours a day. But her end-of-life plan specifically states she doesn't want her estranged adult children to see her. What do you do? Do you let them see mom and get some closure? Do you honor mom's wishes even though she may never know either way? Scenario 2. Bob is a 72-year-old retired music teacher who has terminal pancreatic cancer. He has no children, no partner, and no friends close by. He's requested assistance with navigating his final weeks, but is also fiercely independent and resistant to emotional support. He says he wants no fuss, but acts otherwise as he's begun composing a final piece of music. He says for the world, not for anyone in particular. But he's struggling with it, physically and emotionally. How would you work with the resistance? How would you spiritually support him without projecting your beliefs onto him? And finally, scenario 3. This client is a young man, younger than you are, who has stage 4 cancer that has metastasized just about everywhere. His spirits are low and he's having trouble accepting his mortality. His family is overseas and his friends slowly ghosted him due to their own fears and insecurities, which is sadly so very common. Being sick can rearrange your contact list, and it freaking hurts. So this scenario hits you differently. Can you explain why? How would you support him? Would you meet him where he is or try to guide him to acceptance? Would you be able to keep your personal opinions and thoughts out of this? All right. I can't wait to hear your responses and have a discussion about this. That's all for this episode. Next time we'll talk about taking end-of-life doula courses, the difference between certified and accredited, and why neither of them should be in front of your job title. There's extra resources for finding modalities and some industry-related fun facts. Thanks for being here. Thanks for letting me be here. If you or someone you know is interested in becoming a death doula, please like, share, comment, follow, #follow me please. You can find me online at DearPsychopomp.com or email me at contact@DearPsychopomp.com. And as always, I hope you die happy and fulfilled.